Oh, so I have minutes and
No,
who
it was
cares to
down.
go back.
It was at when we were using it for leaf
First on the
collection.
board.
Engine.
Well, I mean, official as of my
Most of
head.
it's under
8
warranty.
years, and he's got like 10
Rented.
pages in it. So I think you missed.
I only write down the best stuff. The best.
Memoirs of Matt Mao, a short story. A poem.
A poem. The Maoisms.
A haiku.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. If you go and take a look at it, grade it off.
Topics like cemeteries.
All it up to grade, put rock.
Water.
How many pages?
Well,
He had 2 lines.
I had 2 lines.
Because of all the construction work, it pretty much wiped out all the rock at the end of our.
We'll do you guys after we run through our agenda because that subdivision's not on our agenda. So that we do those comments at the back. When I skip over you initially, don't get offended. We're going to get back to you.
Make it finished.
Okay.
What do I hear? Oh, he's got the. We're hearing the reverb.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah.
Usually turn them off.
Sounded like a pen that I couldn't find earlier. Could be a paper clip that I had instead of the pen I can't find.
Long arm.
All right, 6 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order, the regular village board. If you all join me in a moment of silence, please. And the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, take the roll.
Trustee Mann.
Here.
Trustee Gerger.
Present.
Trustee Fountain.
Here.
Trustee Detmers.
Here.
Trustee Mao.
Here.
Trustee Scherschel.
Present.
Village President Kimsey.
Present. Public announcements this evening. If we all take a moment and wish Terry a happy 24th birthday.
Is it 24? All right. And then also,
And
please,
then
Chief,
Vern, Chief Foley turned what, 115
yesterday?
yesterday. So happy birthday, gentlemen. Appreciate it. We also have our newly minted representative, Mike Murphy, is with us this evening. Mike, I invite you to say a few words if you like. We do have a microphone. We're broadcast nationwide.
Well, first of all, thank you, President, for allowing me to come down and chat with you guys tonight, and look forward to working with you in Chatham. During my campaign, I talked about how I want to help local government, and one of the ways I think we can do that is keep the state out of your hair when we're a menace, and help you when you guys need the help. And so I appreciate the discussion we had earlier this evening, and you brought me up to speed on some issues, and I just look forward to it, and I know we're going to have a great relationship. I grew up in Vernon, but I moved recently to Springfield, but I consider Chatham my hometown. I live closer to Chatham than I do Springfield, actually, and I go to church here. My kids go to school here, and I'm really excited about working with the people of Chatham. If you guys have any particular questions, I will take them now, or you're welcome to come to my office. I'm at E1, first floor of the Stratton office building. My door is open. I'm there every day. So anybody have any questions, concerns, comments? Thank you.
Help yourself to birthday cupcake.
I'm trying to lose the campaign weight that I gained.
Any other public announcements? Hearing none. Public comments.
I think Joe Green's got public announcement. Did you guys want to talk about?
I told Joe we'd run through our agenda because he's got some subdivision plat. It'll be pretty quick.
Okay.
So we discussed. All right. Public comments are on the agenda. Hearing none. Can I have a motion to put the consent agenda on the table?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Miles made a motion of a second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Fountain. Comments or discussion regarding the minutes or the warrants? Hearing none. Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Scherschel.
Yes.
No old business under new business. We have a request for proposal for janitorial services. Administrator McCarthy had made some updates and revisions to this based on your discussion at the committee. I'd just like to have a motion to accept putting this out. We don't need much further action on it. So
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Gerger's made a motion of a second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Churchill. All in favor?
Actually, I do have one question. I know one of the things I brought up, and I don't know if it was decided, after you kind of looked at stuff, on whether or not we want the vendor to supply all the cleaning supplies and equipment, so forth. I know that's still on there. Is that what we decided we wanted to do overall?
Didn't we give them the option to bid it both ways?
I read it.
I might have.
I read it that they would supply, but maybe I
It's
misread
written
it.
that they supply.
They supply it? Okay.
We can amend it to, they can provide 2 bids if they want. I thought that would be.
That's confusing. My preference is that they supply their own stuff.
They supply their own stuff.
Yeah,
That's fine.
as it's
written.
I know we talked about
That's
that.
how it's
Greg
written.
added that in, and then we did that as an update. So
I think overall it'd be cheaper.
Good.
So they supply.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2 is an ordinance amending the village code appendix on cross-connection control regulations. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Miles made a motion.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Mann. We have further discussion on the cross-connection controls.
This was Ryan's presentation
This,
at the
yes.
last meeting.
And the only change was we changed some of the language, so it just says a vendor instead of the actual named vendor in the ordinance. We can still go with that vendor, but we didn't want to be amending the ordinance every time we changed it.
Okay. And then if this passes this evening, will we put out a press release? Because I think there's some people that probably have irrigation systems out there who don't use it, who will probably be like, oh, do I need to get this tested even though I'm not using it?
the people that we know of, we've given that list to this company, and they will send them a notice.
Okay.
And they have a certain time frame to be able to get those inspections done.
Okay.
So
What if they don't have the RPV valve or whatever it is even hooked up?
if they don't have
If
one,
they don't have their water hooked to their irrigation?
then they don't have an active one, so they shouldn't have to have it inspected. But
Right.
The whole idea is to try to get as many people compliant as possible. We're not trying to fine people. We're not trying to shut off people's water. But this is something that the EPA requires now, and that we have to be able to have some type of system to show that we're monitoring and taking care of it. This is our process.
Okay. Further discussion or questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 3, transferring appropriations between line items for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2019. We have a motion to bring this.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Miles made a motion.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Fountain. Do you have further questions for Sherry? I know she went through the draft of this with you 2 weeks ago. How much changed from that draft, did it, Sherry?
Just some minor things. In yard waste, we added some additional money on staff line items for supplies, equipment, and then some equipment items
For the police department.
Yeah, there's 2 squad cars that are planned in the budget. However, there isn't enough in the equipment line item to equip cars. So there's a transfer for that. That was not in that.
So as you recall, all these are within single funds, so it's just moving from one line in a fund to another line of fund. Net effect on the every fund is 0.
And it doesn't change the bottom line. The budget still is the budget that we had originally passed.
Further questions, discussion?
What are we looking at on those cars? Do we know which ones we have or going?
One's going to be a sedan and one's going to be an SUV.
2019s?
Yeah.
Is in the general fund with the movement from the professional services, was there something that we didn't need?
I can't remember, was that mostly when we took it out of the professional services?
Professional services, it was the comprehensive plan,
Oh, yeah.
engineering costs. The other thing was
Those were ones that we didn't spend as much as we thought we were. And we spent a little bit more money with our attorneys.
Okay.
So essentially we moved some money from one professionals to another professional.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mann?
Yes.
Trustee Gerger?
Yes.
Trustee Fountain?
Yes.
Trustee Detmers?
Yes.
Trustee Mao?
Yes.
Trustee Churchill?
Yes.
All right, now public comments on other village business. Mr. Green, Ms. Wise?
I'm here representing Mr. Neil Nichols, his daughter and her husband's here, and Mr. and Mrs. Wise, that's Dennis and Marcia Wise. I have some questions to ask, and I'd like to pass out a drawing that I have for a two-lot minor subdivision.
Okay, yeah, please.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Over here first.
Thank you, Joe.
That's right.
Joe, pull this up here too.
Okay.
You always do something. It's not always the case.
This property that Mr. Nichols owns, and the car washes, if I can, that one there, okay. Anyway, the long building is in two sections. It's very close, so you can't tell from this, but there is a separation about 4 feet in there. That drawing that I passed out will show that. And so the car wash is not owned by the Nicholses, and they want to sell this building, and my plan, I call that lot 1, and then this is lot 2. An issue was brought to my attention about parking, and I laid out the parking places on there. We have 13 parking places on plat 2 and 22 on plat 1, or lot 1. Okay. So, Mr. Nichols would like to sell this property in 2 parcels, lot 1 and lot 2. And I brought that up to Mr. McCarthy about it, so I can get here and get your opinion on how to do this. We think it's going to sell better if it goes in 2 parcels. And we want the board's advice whether we can do a minor sub and divide it up so that we can sell it in 2 parcels. They're going to sell in 2 parcels and then sell it as a whole and see which one brings the most money, and that's what they're trying to achieve.
So your goal here, and I assume the hatched line on there's permanent access easement that you're going to record along with doing it?
That's existing at the present time.
That it already exists.
It's already there.
It's got one of our electric lines running through that ingress-egress access. There's water lines running to the back building. Those are currently service lines. They'd be crossing someone else's property.
I have a location map also to show that if you want me to pass that out to you.
Well, to give you guys a little background, usually this takes 2 months. It goes to the planning commission, and they turn around and have a public hearing to decide whether people are okay with splitting that. After it would go through that process, if they're okay with it, then it would come to you guys in a committee of the whole. You discuss it again, and then turn around and probably 2 weeks later vote. Wise called me and said that they have an auctioneer signed up and was ready to start selling the property. I said, our process takes 2 months. I said, but if you want to come tonight and get a feeling whether the board is okay with something like this, I said, because the planning commission could actually put this down. you're splitting parcels. The county doesn't allow this. They don't like having a second parcel that doesn't have direct street access. So it's 50-50 at best whether it would make it to you with a yes or a no. But if you guys can at least give them some indication on whether they need to continue with this process or you don't think it's a project. So that's why they're here this evening. You really can't vote, but you can give opinions.
If you got some questions or thoughts or concerns, they're willing to.
So the utility access comes from through one building to the next? How's the utility access layout to these?
Well, you can see the electric line on there. I don't know, Joe, did you get the water lines on there?
I got a location map. I pass that out if you like.
If you want to show them that.
And this, I got a micro mini drawing here, so it's hard to see things, but I didn't figure you wanted a large sheet either.
Yeah. Both of those buildings are currently occupied, and am I wrong in saying that both of the occupants are the ones that want to purchase them right now? Okay. He did own the third piece where the car wash was at, and he sold that off. And from what Joe was explaining to me, also on the east and west side of the car wash is ingress egress for anything in the back or anything on the other side.
Pat, with the existing car wash that was sold off, did that need to go through the planning commission?
That happened before I had anything to do with that, so I'm not exactly sure. It may have gone through the planning commission at the time.
Was that a different parcel?
Huh?
A separate parcel.
Yeah. But when the county acts as our plat officer, and when they looked at it, they said, well, we can't do anything with it because we'd be splitting a parcel without road access. So it's got to come back to us to get special approval. And before they went too far down the line, I wanted to give them the opportunity to at least talk to you guys.
Got that memorized, Terry?
Yes. That's the only issue I see.
I have a larger drawing of that if you use that.
Oh, that's why I took the glasses off, so I can see things closer.
That's the one, but that's.
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. So for the people interested in lot 2, the back one, that's the back one, right?
Lot 2 is the front.
Yeah.
Lot 2 is the front one. So lot 1 is the one that's further back. So the ones expressing interest, are they aware of this issue with the one access to an issue with the plat in the county? No.
This is all
Just
came about since we had talked to the auctioneer.
It doesn't change what they're currently doing, the current practice of driving through the front portion to get to the back portion. So they're used to that accommodation as it stands right now.
And that's a gym currently today, right? And it has I've seen it have events where the parking is completely taken up, and then they end up parking in lot 2, and then they park across the street, and they park at the post office. And
I think it's called a box.
yeah.
So what if normal name?
Well,
Oh, that's the event.
Box. That's what you call it,
part
CrossFit.
of what this would help address, first person in there just parks wherever they want, and there's nothing that directs people to park either along the building or assigned parking spaces. Plus, there is also that lean-to that could be removed, which would allow further accommodation of parking. And I think we by the plat map that you've seen, there is a little bit more organized parking process. So I think, he's trying to address that concern in the drawing that he proposed.
What would prevent Lot 2 from building a fence at their property line?
When this gets platted, you have an ingress-egress agreement, and all of the people that purchase those parcels
Have to agree to leave it open?
that you will never put a fence across here and block this off.
I think you can landlock anyone that passed.
Well, you could. If you didn't have that agreement in place, you could. Yeah.
How do they get to the north section? Is the north bit beyond your twos? Does they drive all the way through your lot too?
This piece up here?
Yeah, the warehouse is back.
No, there's a driveway here.
Yeah.
And this, from here over to here, and then back here is Larry and Brad Reynolds.
Yeah.
So they have an access road, and this is fenced here. Okay.
So, and there are access roads to the right of that fence, right there.
Here is the road to this area back here and this. This is open. You can pull in and go around this way. Pull in and go around this way. People coming through the car wash usually pull in this way and exit out this way. So these people and Nichols right now are abiding by the ingress-egress agreement because you can't really pull out of this car wash without pulling onto your property. All of those would have to stay in place, and all of the owners would have to agree. Now, since you don't own this anymore, but they have agreed to allow access to this back here.
So what happens if a fence, I'm sorry, Lot 2 is the one closer to the road. So what if they put up a fence along the property line there? The road you could go through to the back, but what if they put that, could you even pull out of that car wash?
No.
But there currently is ingress-egress with the car wash and yourself. So it would basically be almost a three-party agreement on the ingress-egress.
But could someone put up a fence along there, abiding by the egress?
Part of it would kind of depend on what your zoning requirements are, wouldn't it, as far as
How far out the property line? And
yeah.
Which, if they abided by that, then that would totally could restrict the entrance onto the one we're looking at.
Right.
I think you would have to, I think in the ingress-egress agreement, you would have to put something in there that no fences anywhere on the property along, other than the exterior fences.
But if you did a two-lot minor subdivision, you'd show all that so that, and you have notes on there that there is access available to all three parties.
The problem that you run into, and you know, is that 10, 15 years down the line, you're not around anymore, I'm not, you're not, and the people that owned it have put it up for sale, and nobody goes back to look at the original deed to see that there was an ingress-egress there.
But the original drawing
Should show that.
And so if your drawing shows it.
And if you're buying it, the title company should point that out, that you're buying this, and
Well, so I'm concerned, like, let's say that there's, two property owners there, they don't get along, and the one who buys lot 2 doesn't care, and they put up a fence right there, then whoever owns a car wash, they don't have a functioning business because you can't pull through on the other
have to
side.
go through the legal system for that thing, Greg, right?
Right.
The village wouldn't get involved in that.
Yeah, they'd be enforcing their easement.
Yeah, they would have to enforce that they have an ingress-egress easement and that you can't put a fence up there.
You could put a 3-foot speed bump. But you're saying the county doesn't typically allow this?
They do not.
I think, kind of summarize some of the discussions here. If I step on your toes, let me know. I think what you're going to face both here and the hurdle that you'd have to come in the planning commission is that back lot with limited ingress and egress to it and kind of isolating it off in the fashion that you're doing it. And I asked Greg what the business version of a condo association would be. It almost seems, it's going to go as one lot with some common area between the two spots in there that they'll have to.
But that's an option, the condominium association.
I think you're going to have more luck keeping it as a single lot and some.
See, it's currently zoned I, so just about anything you could think of can go there.
That would be the other caveat that makes and I don't want to suggest you guys do something that may impact your price, but a restricted use, bringing the zoning to, requesting a different type of zoning might be something that entices others to follow along. These are just ideas for you.
I got a hypothetical question.
A hypothetical answer is all you're going to get.
All right, well, we'll hear it both. The question is, let's say he puts it up for sale. He sells it as a one unit, 2 buildings, 1 unit, and it sells for $1 million. Puts it up individual, 2 lots. It sells for $1.2 million. Now we've got a dilemma here. If you won't pass this, and he's getting the highest and best use of the property, money-wise, so it comes back to you, agency that mandates the rules of the village, and we say you're holding back a fee to this owner of $200,000. Where does that put you in a liable situation? Because we think he ought to get the $1.2 million.
That's a tough hype. I'll defer to you. But I think technically what is to split it, you have to go through our subdivision, which you're familiar with, the process to subdivide a land. So you got to get through all the requirements on that and get that through the planning commission and get that through the board where you've met all of those. So regardless of which route you take, you're going to have to show that we can fit the ingress and the egress, fit the parking requirements that are in there. Go back to your square footage, without running the math. I don't know the size of the buildings to know if the number of parking spots that you've laid out here to designate if that matches what's in our industrial zoning classification right now. So there's several steps in there where you got to go and run through and say, can we check all these boxes that allows for subdividing the lot?
Yeah. So, and I think we can do that.
It's kind of tough just on a informal conversation at the first time to look. So.
This should be an open discussion, and if you read the subdivision ordinance, it says have a preliminary meeting. This is it. Okay.
I guess the other question I've got, and maybe a question for our attorney, just in general, lot 2 owner, since the egress is pretty much on he's got to do all the maintenance.
Not necessarily.
And I guess that's my question. Is that something that's typically in an egress agreement as far as maintenance costs and that kind of stuff?
You would outline maintenance in the actual easement itself, and you could both get it split 50-50.
Or whatever.
That type of
Okay.
Yeah, you could.
And then if one party doesn't do it, you'd have to sue them to get the other half.
Right.
But it's them and not us.
Right, not us.
The other thing that is we haven't, our attorneys haven't even seen the egress agreement with the car wash. So we don't know what items were put in that originally to protect the hole, or whether it's just, you can drive across. So.
But the owner of that car wash at the present time is the same one that owns the one over here.
Right. But do you think he'll come back and ask these 2 guys to help pay for repaving as part of his entryway over here because all their customers cut in through there now?
I don't think so.
See, that's.
But anyway, that's part of the deal if it goes through. If you get the subdivision process, and then you have some problems, you can work them out. And so. It's been working satisfactory for 5 years or more. So anyway,
Yeah, it's
make an agreement. You do it every day.
it's been working between two. Now, if we go into three, now you got. I mean, the third party ends up.
The one in the back could care less because he's got ingress egress to get in.
No, it's just muddying the waters.
Well, and it's better to be proactive in looking at these potential problems rather than approve it and then have these problems occur. So have answers and issues and solutions to these before we move forward. I mean, because that's one thing in the past we didn't care and we just did it, and then we have to react to the problems and issues that have occurred since we approved it. So, you know, I think that's one thing that we're looking at is trying to make sure that we're more proactive instead of more reactive like we had been.
And we're all here for that same reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing we're trying to do is, you know, there's 2 tenants that are in there right now. They're interested if we go with the auction route, but I'm not necessarily sure that they would be interested in buying it as one tract. So we're trying to protect the integrity of them in their current space. If we sell it as one tract, there's potential that both of those businesses would be impacted. So having this flexibility allows us for them to bid on their tract and the other person bidding on their tract, and keeps 2 tenants that are in there right now and seem to be working out the situation, keeping that intact.
But along with that flexibility, we have to make sure that the agreements are in place for the ingress, egress, to make sure we don't have issues. Yeah. Because those, like we've said up here already, those owners could change over the years. And those owners may not like each other and a fence goes up. So we have to make sure that those agreements are in place.
I offered them to come tonight and kind of just give you a heads up. My recommendation as the village manager is that they follow all procedures all the way through. We can't deviate from that. We'd be doing it for every single parcel that came in. I wanted him to be able to come in tonight because I've dealt with Mr. Nichols in the past. He's a great guy and he's in bad health. And I wanted at least his family to be able to come in and give you an idea of what they're proposing. But I still think it's going to be a 2-month process, and I don't know how that works out with your time frame. But
I think the planning commission should give what the county would do or not do consideration in their process.
They'll run through our subdivision ordinance and see, as Joe was discussing, if it can check.
The engineers and the attorneys will look at all of the verbiage and make sure that everything is in place, that we think that if we did allow that split, that all 3 partners would be covered. And then then that proposal would come forward to the board. Okay. But
hopefully that helps, Joe. To the extent we can help you guys tonight.
Yeah.
But I still think if you didn't go with the minor sub, I still think it could be a condominium association. And you still could split it up the way you wanted it.
There's probably more options than we've thought of anyway, at first blush, but that's what everybody has engineers and lawyers for.
Yeah, we just want to work with you and have a satisfactory solution.
So we'll guide you through the subdivision process on what it takes and what the timing would be. And we're happy to do that for anybody that wants to come through it. So.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Hearing none. The schedule of meetings. Police Commission is 5:30, January 23rd. The Utility Oversight Subcommittee, 6 p.m., February 11th. Village Board, 6 p.m., February 12th. Committee of the Whole follows, 6:15. ADA Transition Plan Committee, 6 p.m. on the 19th. Planning Commission, 6 p.m. on the 21st. Village Board, again, 6 p.m., February 26th, with the Public Properties Recreation Commission meeting, 6 p.m., March 11th. No need for executive session tonight. Next time. Having no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Question though on the calendar there, David. February 12th is Lincoln's birthday, correct?
Yes.
Federal holiday.
Over here. We've never altered that.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn then.
Trustee Miles made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting stands
You
adjourned.
definitely take a cupcake home with you.
Or 5.